I'm David. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey.
So I'm the second choice.
That's
So
a good thing.
I knew I was coming to the meeting today, and I went over to Eddie's, and he said, "Here's how the meeting goes. You know, it goes like, somebody speaks for 30 minutes, somebody speaks for 10, and that's you." And so, talk about a blind side. And the look on my face, I'm sure, was hilarious. I don't speak at meetings. I do, I do share a lot at meetings. I've been told over the years that, number one, for me, service is such a huge part of my program that when asked to serve in any way at all, I say, I'm supposed to say yes. So, and then I get, oh my God, what am I going to say? And then I remember what I tell other people. It's not about me. It's just about sharing my experience, strength, and hope, so that maybe somebody can relate, and hopefully I can relate to other people. So my experience, grew up in an alcoholic family. Actually, my mother graduated from Cleveland High School right here, so our whole family is local in this area, South Seattle, Georgetown. Her maiden name was Beers, so her four brothers and her, they kind of were destined for lots of drinking. Grandpa was the one that never did get sober. Everybody else, all my uncles and aunts did get sober, and through AA. So hence, I knew about Alcoholics Anonymous when I was young, but I also knew drinking was part of the deal too. And so I started out early. I think I was alcoholic at the get-go. I remember crying, screaming, laughing, at 10 years old, and it was so, everybody was laughing at me, and it was, the attention was so cool, and I loved it, and I kept going on that path. I was so shy and fearful of life. I was the epitome of a confused, fearful child, and when I finally realized alcohol solved all of that, I had to have it everywhere and every time I could, and as much as I could. And being that young, I did a lot of stealing in order to get it. So the amends list started really, really early on. Fast forward, I knew I was going to go to AA someday because Alcoholics Anonymous was in my life. It wasn't fun very long because I always knew there was a problem, and it was going to be, I'm going to have to go to meetings. So I did. At 29, I went to my first AA meeting, and I did what I did for many years after that. I quit drinking. I went to meetings, and that's all I did. So I never really gained any length of sobriety. I don't even know if I was really sober because I was still the same fearful, shy guy. And whenever something came up, I was off drinking and off to the races again. So fast forward 20 years, lots of DWIs, lost jobs, no faith, no thought of spirituality. I grew up Catholic, and I do remember a lot of praying, and I do remember feeling good on my knees with my siblings praying. But then there was the nuns that would slap you and, bat your ears and give you the rubber hose and things like that. So it was kind of a conflict of spirituality versus school and church and negativity. So when they took us out of parochial school, we kind of quit praying. So spirituality left at that point. Any type of praying left at that point. So I just constantly needed to escape life, and so when alcohol didn't quite do it, I moved on to bigger and better things, crack cocaine and other types of drugs. Just made things more miserable. So in order to get rid of the misery, I just did more. It's just progressed. So 20 years after my first meeting, I was actually willing to, my physical health was what was really ailing me. The fourth DWI on its way, the year in jail, automatic, because I had great lawyers. I got two DWI, I was on deferred, and I got another DWI, and I lost my license for a month. Went to jail for a day here and 2 days there, and was back running. So I knew that next one was going to be that easily that year in jail, but it didn't deter me. Those things didn't deter me as long as nobody knew. You know, it was complete facade. Nobody had any idea that I was at crack houses or that I was pending court and drunk at court, all of those types of things. I was very sneaky. Kept jobs, lost jobs, quit jobs, but for the most part, I was able to sustain some sort of a living. But it was, in the end, what made me quit drinking wasn't any of that. It was because I couldn't literally, I was going to explode physically. I couldn't go an hour without drinking. I couldn't sleep because I'd wake up sweating, probably this close to a seizure. I mean, I didn't know at the time that you could have a seizure. So that was what made me think, okay, maybe I should think about, and I knew it was all about me. I just think about you and why you're doing this. So I went into treatment. I had been asked, suggested to go into treatment. I don't know how many times, but I was always opted for outpatient. Didn't want to lose the job, or I couldn't let my crew, run by itself without me. But in the end, I was just like, take it, please. I was so willing to throw my hands up and take whatever came. And yeah, I lost the job. I was like, thank you. I was happy that I lost the job. I was so ready. And so, yeah, I went into treatment. I got out and went straight to a meeting. I remember dropping a guy off, a friend of mine that was an older gentleman. I think he was high ranking in his tribe. I went to Olala over at the peninsula. A lot of Native Americans. And when I dropped him off, I knew he wasn't going to make it. In the background, I could see the activity, and he was standing in the doorway just sad, and I knew it. So I went straight to a meeting. And it's been meetings ever since. That last year, I just did not want to go back to that point. So I live in the valley. I've been going in and out in the valley for 20 years. Well, 15 years at that point. Didn't want to go back to meetings there. Pride saying no. Didn't realize they would just bring me in and hug me like they did later. So I got a whole year of sobriety in Issaquah with no sponsor. Again, no work. So just borderline stupidity. Knowing, it's the same scenario, doing the same thing, thinking you're going to get something different. Just lucky I was so ready when I finally decided to come back in that it kept me for that year. Because then I was willing to come back into the Valley meetings where I've been going to all those years. And these guys, I don't know if you were there, they just ushered me in like it was yesterday. So that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about for me. It's a circle of life and traditions I've never thought of. Didn't even think of the steps, much less the traditions. But I realize now those are what keep the meetings there and did for me for all those years. There's no doubt if I'd have kept going on, all the yets would have happened. And I'm just so grateful. And so I got pointed to a sponsor, this guy over here, and we started to get to work. And before I knew it, I had 2 years. I mean, when you get involved with the people that have been very deep in service, you just get into service. I would go wherever they went. It was the two people that are here today that are, it was just, I didn't even have time to look back. It was just like, hey, we're going over here, you're coming. We're going over here. And today, we haven't done this in a while. He said, you're going over here and you're coming. Granted, he said, you're going to stand at the podium. It felt like old times, because it's been a while since we've done that. I mean, there's reasons. Last 18 months of not being able to do much at all. So it feels really good to be here. But I can say also, during that first couple of years, I gained, I realized that I'm sober for 2 years and it wasn't me, it was the higher power. So although I was very apprehensive of step 3 and I debated it, but I was also told, just move on to the next one. It'll make sense later. I mean, all of them you can treat like that. Just move on to the next one. And I realized that there's something greater than me working here, and I'm sober, and that's all I needed to know, that there's a power greater than me. And it started out as Alcoholics Anonymous, and then my sponsor, and now it's all of those things plus I call it God, but it's really just an entity unknown that I can connect with, that will never judge me, will never fail me, will never, I don't put any expectations, and it's always there. So anyways, I don't know if I've even gone 5 minutes, but I'm just so grateful. I see people where I ran into a guy named Clancy where I work, and I'm like, God, the guy spent half an hour talking to me, and it's like things like that. And then I saw him later, and he made a point of leaning back and waving to me. It's just, it's just, I ran into a guy that I work at a hotel, so periodically we give away clothes and stuff. So the guy came from, I just happened to call the mission, gospel mission. The guy came, we talked for like 45 minutes and stuff like that. Because I'm such a selfish guy, I can so much I can take this for granted, and it will at some point, if I continue, but it will kill me, I know it. So I'm so glad and happy to be here, and thanks for asking me to share, Eddie.
Thanks.